I'm Mark Heuberger, the Public Information Officer for the town of Collierville, and today we're glad to have the opportunity to talk to our Superintendent of Collierville Schools, John Aitken. And we've got a lot of things going on with the schools. They are off to a great start. And Mr. Eddie, just tell us your impression of how the first year has gotten off to so far.
Well, thank you, Mark, and thanks for doing this. It's been an exciting and challenging year. To think, looking back a year roughly ago, the challenges and the things that we had to get done. But I'm so happy with the way things have progressed. We identified early on a lot of issues that we had to address, but the primary issue being get all the operational things going, get everybody hired, and get school started. But you know, a lot of the things that we have to face, the challenges moving forward, or keeping up with technology, as with any business. Part of my job is to ensure financial stability of the district moving forward over the next few years, and leaving that in good hands, and working with the town of Collierville officials. That's been so rewarding for us to be able to get that a good start for us. But probably the biggest challenge we face is being able to handle the growth in enrollment over the next several years and looking forward to the future. So if I were going to identify a high priority, that would be it.
The growth of the student population.
That's correct.
And just a little bit specifically, what kind of challenges, what issues are you seeing in terms of your forecasting for student growth?
Well, when we started this, as I said a year ago, we identified early on that our middle school and high school student populations were either at or above capacity. When the agreement was reached with the town of Collierville and Shelby County Schools, it guaranteed enrollment to residents of the town of Collierville. We quickly identified that we did not have room in our high school if every high school student in the town of Collierville had to go to Collierville High School. So one of the first things we did is we entered an interlocal agreement with Germantown Municipal Schools to allow those students who lived in the town of Collierville and had already started at one of the Germantown schools, they could stay through the remainder of their school grade. For middle schools, that'd be the 8th grade. For high schools, they could stay through exit grade. We worked out some issues with transportation, had some financial implications. We did some things with bus lot and worked out a couple of things as we negotiated that. But early on, we knew that we had to do that. Then moving forward, as we project, our high school is with no town growth at all. It will have 2,600 kids when we begin school in 17 and 18.
Speaking of that, what was Collierville High School designed? What level of capacity was it originally built to be able to serve?
Sure, and a lot of people have to remember Collierville High School was originally built as a middle school. Then it was expanded in 1994 in the area that we're doing this interview. Part of that expansion, a programmatic capacity for Collierville High School is roughly 2,000 kids, and that's calculated by number of classrooms times a particular number per classroom. The issues that we're dealing with at Collierville High School obviously are the core infrastructure issues. When you get to the 2,000 plus kids, you can handle it in classroom by doing some things, floating teachers, but you still have hallways, libraries, cafeterias that have to handle the core infrastructure. So as we project out, we've got some things that we've got to make sure that we take care of until we can make some more permanent changes.
Just for the sake of those watching and listening to this, Collierville High School was, for all practical purposes, with whatever happened in 1994, with that addition or whatever, was built to serve about 2,000 students.
That's correct.
Today, in 2014, what is the population of Collierville?
We have 2,167 students in here
today.
Currently. That's correct.
And what was your estimation again of the projection 2 to 3 years?
We're going to grow 150 students a year as students migrate back from particularly Houston Middle, coming back to Collierville High in that area, and a little bit of growth. So 2,300 next year, grow 150, so 2,450, and then eventually 2,600.
Okay. And specifically with the high school, Collierville High School, there's been a recommendation from the Collierville Board of Education that the Collierville community at large needs a new high school. And so where do you see that going?
Oh, sure. And it's a lot of this is still in the planning stages as we move forward. We, as a result of predicting future enrollment growth, we did several things, but the first thing was to look at the existing Collierville High School facility and determine whether this facility is capable of being expanded. And when we say expansion, it has to also include expansion in land around, traffic, all of the things that you look into, infrastructure. So we employed an architect to do a feasibility study of Collierville High School to see if the building and the land around were capable of handling a high school with a student enrollment of approximately 3,000 students. So as we project out, planning for town growth as well, as we've worked with town planners, it's highly likely that we're going to have 3,000 students in probably 7 to 8 years. So as we look forward to that, you also have to look at acreage on this site. So the existing Collierville High School facility sits on around 50 acres. You have some land available to the west, but it's park land, it's former landfill land that when we looked at that, probably not suitable for building any type of thing. And as we looked at parking areas here, as we looked at infrastructure, the architect made the recommendation, and the board did approve that recommendation, that the infrastructure and the facility, it's sound, but it can handle a smaller student enrollment, could not handle a larger student enrollment. So based on that, we were commissioned to go do some site searching. And I know probably we're still in the preliminary stages of that, but as we plan for that, we're looking at a site large enough to accommodate 3,000 students plus, but also large enough to be able to expand in case enrollment in, or excuse me, the population in the town grows past that. We would have the future taken care of.
Two things to build off of what you said. One, what would you say to those who say, why can't you just, I think you've answered that, but to be very specific, why can't you just build on to this high school?
I think probably you look at the land and you look at the things that would have to be taken out. We don't have any land available to push things out. So when you build onto the facility, you're building onto an old facility. So you still have the core infrastructure that would have to be taken care of that's not recommended to handle that larger student population.
And what do you say to those who say, why don't we have two high schools?
I think probably that's probably the point that I've tried to drive home more than anything. When we started early on, we kind of did some informal surveying of the town people. The town of Collierville and its students have been divided into two high schools for the last, since Houston High School was built.
And you're referring to Collierville High School and Houston High School.
Houston High School, that's correct. So as you move through that, the town wants one town, one high school, one community, one high school. But probably what needs to be driven home more than anything and understood, we're at capacity at this facility, Collierville High School now. So as we look toward 3,000 student enrollment, we're going to have to, if we wanted to build a second high school, it's going to have to be able to handle 1,500 to 1,800 students minimum. So you're going to have to build another high school facility if you so chose to go that way. And then you still don't address some of the middle school enrollment issues that we've already identified. New high school, second high school, one possibility, but with two middle schools at capacity as well, you would also have to build another middle school. So you're looking at one facility that can take care of our enrollment issues for a long time.
And then, second question off of that is that you had said that you're looking at approximately 7 years from now having about 3,000 students. What would you say to someone that said, well, shouldn't this new, very expensive facility be able to accommodate 3,500, 30, take us way out, 20 years, 10
Sure.
years, 15 years.
And it's a valid question, and as we talk to the planners and architects who are in the preliminary stages of designing this, two things to take care of that. We're going to build, as we plan, the core infrastructure that's big enough to accommodate more than 3,000 students. And when I discuss that, we're talking libraries, cafeterias, hallways, all the things that go into moving a large student population. The design of that is to try to make a community feel out of any type of design that we look at now. But also you have to also consider that when you find a site and you determine the site and you're negotiating that, keep the future in mind, that when you build that high school for 3,000 students, you also have room to build on because you already have the core infrastructure. You can build on classrooms if you have the core infrastructure already in there.
Very good, very good. Now, you have mentioned, we've talked about the high school, and current population at Collierville High School, the growth of Collierville High School, the whys and the why nots of building on versus having a new school. And in all of that, you've talked about middle schools. So what's the state of our middle schools
Right, and then part of that's the comprehensive study that we've done all along that we identified. Schilling Farms Middle School has been above capacity for many years now. They have 8 portables that they use extensively every day. And again, a building designed for about 1,000 students, which is a little bit large for a middle school and the optimum enrollment.
May I ask you, what was Schilling Farms originally designed to serve?
Their capacity is about 1,000 kids.
Okay.
And then we built the new Collierville Middle School, capacity about 950 to 1,000, depending on how you structure your classes. So right now we have almost 2,000 students in our 2 middle schools and growing. So we identified that we've got to do something. We're looking at rezoning one of those middle schools now to shift some kids for the next couple of years. But as we plan long range, if a new comprehensive high school is built large enough to handle future high school enrollment, then this facility can be converted to a middle school facility. You've got the infrastructure here, and then this facility could also be used for a lot of other things that the district may use. We may need this in the future. We may need district offices in the future. Who knows as the town grows. We may need, we'll need a middle school piece here. Maintenance facility. We currently outsource our maintenance. Because we don't have a facility to handle all of the trucks and the tools and all the things that we need, so there would be some opportunities here. But what we're most excited about as we look are some opportunities for some innovative things to do in the district, some magnet school type programs, some career and technical education classes that we could offer as we try to prepare kids for jobs of the future. Those are things that we see a lot of potential in this facility. Middle school could be part of it, and then you could do a lot of other things with the remaining infrastructure.
So, to put this in kind of simpler terms for someone listening, looking at the possibility of building, as you say, a comprehensive high school at another site, needing room for a 3rd middle school, the current Collierville High School site, which was originally designed to be a middle school.
Correct.
Some years ago, would be a possibility of having a 3rd middle school right here at Collierville High School. And with the excess space that's here, there are just numerous options. You named a few, don't know which direction you could go, but there are a lot of things. And then, talk about this, there are the wealth of athletic fields around here.
That's correct.
And I've heard some discussion, they might be partnered with the town in some way, or, I mean, there's options there. But
yeah, and I think that's probably the thing that's been most refreshing to me as we've started our municipal school district. That partnership with the town officials and the things that they've added to our program already with use of facilities, financial resources, all those things. But as we have discussed with Parks and Rec officials, for instance, we may have to use the facilities here on a temporary basis for our high school as the construction is going on, but we've got the potential now to enter into some partnerships with community programs, town of Collierville programs that have some nice athletic facilities here on this site that can be used for school and town purposes moving forward. Right. So a lot of things as you project out 20 years from now that are kind of ambitious now, but I think they're so exciting that we can look forward to.
Speaking again of the high school, and you touched on this a few moments ago, but how would you select a new site? What are you looking for in a new site? Well,
it's the process has been, we've been undergoing that process now for a couple of months. Obviously, size of a plot of land is first. You've got to have a site. When we first started down this venture, we were looking at somewhere around 90 to 100 acres. As we project growth, we bump that need up to probably 100 to 110 acres for that expansion thing that we've discussed earlier. So you're looking first of all at a plot of land that is big enough. in the town limits of Collierville, but then you start looking at the things that drive price up and that make a good high school facility. You got a lot of student traffic, you'll have a lot of traffic going in and out, you're increasing that traffic in that particular site and its neighborhood. So infrastructure, first of all, of the site, does it have existing utilities? Are they readily available or close by? You have to look at streets, how they flow into the particular site of, that we're looking at. So we put all of those in kind of a rubric, identified early on about 8 to 10 sites that first of all match the size criteria, and then we did site visits. We've got architects on board, we've got real estate lawyers that are looking at it, doing some land appraisals as we move forward. So put all those in a rubric and then prioritize some sites, and we've narrowed those sites down to 3 or 4, and we're really getting serious about the negotiations now, and trying to narrow it down to 1 site to bring back to board approval as we move forward.
The new high school, is there an estimated cost of what it is?
Yeah, and as we developed our 5-year capital improvement plan, in order to do some planning and do some forecasting for bond issuance per se, we look back at the last comprehensive high school built in Shelby County Schools, and that was Arlington High School, and it was built comprehensive facility, everything on site, and it was built for about 2,000 kids. And when we took that and extrapolated our numbers out, we had to do a lot of estimations. As you look at estimates, you have no idea what the land price is going to be yet. You don't know what the infrastructure costs are going to be. As you move forward, you try to do some estimating on those types of things. But based on extrapolations from that, and you put a cost per square foot, it can get in the $80 to $90 million range. So I know that's kind of scary to a lot of people, and that's understandable. But moving forward, maybe we can whittle that down, I hope. But we have to, if we're going to do this, we've got to do it right. And we have to make it big enough to handle the expected population growth in the town, which obviously results in more students.
Not only now, but for many generations.
That is correct. So we're trying to be good stewards of taxpayer money, but also understanding that this town has a solid foundation because it's had people to look toward the future. And as we look toward the future, this is an opportunity to take care of our needs for a lot of years as far as student enrollment.
What would you say to someone who said that's a hefty price tag? What kind of school what are those students going to get for 80 or 70, 80 million dollars?
Well, I think what you're going to get is a school site big enough. The last cost of the Arlington High School was around $50 million, and that was over 10 years ago, and it was on 45 to 50 acres. So what you're looking at now is a site almost twice that size, and a building almost twice that size, 67–70% bigger than that, with the ability to expand. So I would say to anybody that I do understand, because I live in Collierville as well and understand the ramifications of the decision, but you are going to get a facility that hopefully will be the centerpiece of the town. It will be the centerpiece of this region. We're going to be good stewards of the money, but we're also going to design it in a way that it takes care of every need. It will have all the athletic facilities on site. What we've tried to do and are in the middle of doing right now as well are have public meetings to get the public ideas, surveys. We're having a public meeting on March 31st to invite the stakeholders in this community to come and tell us what you're looking for in a high school. Probably the most refreshing thing of all this process has been talking to students. As our folks have gone around and talked to students and saying, if you had the chance to design, in a perfect world, what would be your ideal high school, and you would be amazed at some of the responses you would get, and not in an ambitious type of way. It's all about the core infrastructure and dealing with technology. So to the citizens of Collierville, you have the assurance that we're looking out for, and we're trying to be good stewards of the money, but we're also trying to plan for the future and have these facilities taken care of for the next 20 to 30 years.
Last question. You mentioned being great stewards of the taxpayers' money, great stewards of the facilities. In a closing note, tell us about being good stewards of our students.
Well, I think probably what we have is an opportunity to provide a facility, high school facility, that will meet the academic needs of our students in Collierville well into the future. As we've worked with the design team and planning this, the first thing that comes out is technology. And anytime we design facilities, we have to keep technology in mind. Students learn differently today, they're taught differently today. It's all about mobile devices, and it's all about the internet and those types of things and using those. So we have to, first of all, design a facility that is equipped with the technology and the infrastructure for technology that will carry us into the future. So that's been a priority of ours as we have planned. But we have to provide something, because we have some excellent students here, and we have to provide a facility that's built for them, both design-wise, aesthetically, but also that can handle their academic needs for a lot of years.
Yeah. Well, Mr. Aitken, thank you for talking with us today. I think that everyone in the community is interested in seeing Collierville schools do great, as they already are, off to a great start, and we appreciate you sharing this and clearing up some information for us concerning the future of Collierville schools.
Thank you. Glad to do it.